All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Kol Haloim La, Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Barak Kadash. The belongs to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. Akim and Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh is our Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab and Mwam back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, account closed. Imagine that. All right, and this is based off of article I just came across just now. And let me grab it. It says this came in on the news break, right? The Free Financial Advisor source, right? It says banks are closing accounts during de-risking reviews, often without warning. All right. And hey, man, we've been telling y'all for years, man, that this is gonna come about at one point, all right, where people just gonna wake up. There ain't gonna be no money in your bank account. All right, your bank accounts are gonna be frozen. All right, and a lot of people are just gonna go into total chaos when they realize that there's zero balance inside your bank account. Okay, because we're in a time of being hacked, time of cyber attacks, right, and the time of a new world order being resetted, okay, to bring in this new agenda, this digital currency. All right, they're trying to bring in a new system. So in order for them to bring in this new system, they have to collapse the old system. Okay, they have to collapse the money, the physical money. They have to collapse the system of banking, period. Okay, to have an excuse to why they have to bring in a new solution, you see. So it reads saying, 1 second. It says banks are closing accounts during de-risking reviews, often without warning, right? Hold on. I thought I have to open it. Hold on. It says you wake up, check your bank app, and your account is frozen or worse, gone. No warning, no explanation, just a vague notice about a review. This is the reality for a growing number of people caught in what banks called de-risking. All right, so this is a new trend basically that's going on. All right, especially in the times that we're in with war. You have Iran that's threatening to be able to, they might not have the biggest and largest army, all right, but they have definitely the power to cut off and hack, your power, cut off your banking system. Okay, all these things are being spoken about on a daily basis through the mouth of the prophets. All right, being spoken of through your own damn government. Constantly being spoken of on social media. You see, and these are all warnings. All right, that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is giving the people. All right, of what's to come here in America. All right, and first and foremost, all right, before any of these things were being, mentioned, they were brought out by the prophets first. You see, starting with the elders and apostles. Okay, so they've been telling you this for over 35 plus years. All right, and then all the way down to the brothers in His word. All right, we have been constantly warning you more than ever since 2020 had hit, that first pandemic, because that first pandemic was made to show you that we're at the end of this thing, man. Okay, and the second pandemic that's going to hit, the second lockdown, all right, the second time this place shuts down, all right, it's for good. It's to bring in the prophecy of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, what's written, you see. So it's bound to happen at any given time. This is why we have to constantly prepare ourselves. All right, and that's why the Lord has been making us uncomfortable being in His truth for a while now, man, because when that happens, you're going to be very uncomfortable, you see. But those that are walking in the spirit and not in the flesh, right? They know that, you know, these things were to come. So we have already been spiritually ready, okay, to deal with it in the actual physical. All right. So it says, while the term might sound technical and harmless, the consequences can be frustrating, you see. And look, we go through these things on a normal basis, man, going through the trials and tribulations that we go through in this truth. You know, we're always frustrated with certain things. As the scriptures say, you know, uh, uh, surely oppression make a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So, you know, we might sound like we're angry, we're really not. We're just more frustrated than anything, you know, living in the shithole that we live in, all right, knowing that the world was created for our sakes, right? But we don't possess an inheritance with it, all right? And, you know, being frustrated, like I said, going through the trials and tribulations that we're going through on this side, catching straight hell, you know, but catching hell in a righteous way for YAHAWAH'S sake, you see, counting all things joy, okay, because it shows that we're not, you know, bastards. It shows that we're sons unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So it says it can be frustrating, disruptive, and sometimes financially devastating, you see. And it's going, hey, man, this is going to disrupt a lot of lives, all right? And this is going to basically devastate financially everybody's lives, because once this place gets shut down and that dollar collapses, right, or this cyber attack hits, you see, we're all going to be on the same page of being broke, okay? It ain't going to be, you know, I got this in my bank account. Ain't going to be no more, you know, pride of showing that, you know, you're better than the next. You're going to be brought down low, okay? The Lord has that in store for all these people out here. That's one of the many great miseries that shall be done to those that lived in great pride in the last days, okay? That you're going to be humbled, like the ones that are suffering, the ones that are being, that are poor, that are broken in the contrite spirit. You're going to be in the same spirit they are in, all right? But without stability, you see, without the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Lord, all right? It says, if you've never heard of it before, now it is the time to understand why bank account closures are happening, and how to protect yourselves. It says what de-risking really means for your money. Banks use de-risking as a strategy to reduce exposure to potential legal, regulatory, or financial trouble, but it often translates into sudden bank account closures for everyday customers. Financial institutions are under intense pressure to comply with anti-money laundering laws and fraud prevention regulations, which means they monitor accounts more aggressively than ever. All right. And that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. All right. All roads leading back to that MOTB, that RFID, all right, which is going to be total technocracy over, you know, everything that you own. You see, you're no longer going to own nothing anymore. It's going to be totally, you know, under surveillance, total control of what you can own, what you can't have. You see, what it's going to be a form of communism. You know, pretty much everybody has the same amount. Okay. And if you don't like it and you don't comply, well, you know, you get your account frozen. You see, your social credit score goes down. Okay. But nonetheless, that's the you know, the agenda that they've been pushing for quite some time through gradualism, you see. So it says, if your activity triggers internal alerts, even accidentally, you could be flagged as high risk without any wrongdoing. You see, look at that. All right. And imagine you being Jake, you being a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American in a system like this. All right. Well, we're already targets. All right. I'm pretty sure they're going to be flagging us at high risk at all times, you know, just to make our lives a living hell. It says this can include things like frequent international transfers, large cash deposits, or even inconsistent income patterns. Unfortunately, once flagged, many banks choose to close accounts rather than investigate further, leaving customers scrambling. All right. And yeah, that's what's going to start up, you know, more civil war. That's what's going to start up even more and being intensified in sedition among men, things like this, man, that will make people go buck wild. Okay. And then you got the ones that are actually getting money and still able to do certain things, thrown in the faces of those that don't. You see, man, it will be a shit show just seeing this shit go down, right? It says why bank account closures are happening more often. The rise in bank account closures is closely tied to stricter global financial regulations, right? And that's why it's going to come down to one thing. It's going to come down to that MOTB, okay? He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that mark in their right hand or their foreheads, man, and that you cannot buy or sell save he that had the mark. You see? That's what it's going to come down to. You want everything to work out smoothly. You want everything to, you know, fall in your hands like the way it's supposed to. Well, then you have to bow down to the system. You have to take this mark, right, and this Neuralink, all right, and things will be good. Order, app, chaos, man. Problem, reaction, solution. You see? So it says, and the increasing use of automated monitoring systems. Algorithms can now scan millions of transactions daily. Look at that, right? Now the technology is so far and beyond that it can scan, all right, transactions on a daily basis. You see, this is why they want you connected to that system, all right? This is why they always have some new update for your ass, okay? To keep you in the loop and being able to, you know, be on top of everything that you're doing, you see, making sure that you're checking in with Uncle Sam. No more loopholes, no more, you know, trying to beat the system, okay? And it's almost to perfection in their eyes, all right? This is why they're about to roll out that NWO, okay? It says, looking for the patterns that might indicate fraud, money laundering, or other suspicious behavior, all right? And you got a lot of our people, all right, that are caught up with fraud, caught up with money laundering, all right, caught up with a lot of suspicious behavior, you know, messing around with forms and identities and trying to beat the system for, you know, welfares and these other programs you see through these other programs when hey, in reality, Esau the one that uses it the most to his advantage, all right? But, you know, America has made you believe that, you know, the only way you can make it out of here for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans is by, you know, bowing down to the system and going to the oppressor for the one of all things, you know, going to Egypt for help. Everything is Egypt, 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 help. You see, help me, please. I'm this, I'm that, I'm broke, I'm suffering. I need this, I need that. Okay, and you guys continually to keep going to America, thinking that they can make your nation safe, thinking that they can make it a better place for you. You see, and then the more America gives you the handouts, the more America helps you, the more you're in debt to America to basically follow their ways, man. You see, and it's like you never get out of that loop. See, that's why you ain't supposed to lean on Egypt for help, man, because when you don't lean to Egypt for help, they don't like that, one, all right? Two, they do make it a little harder for you to get things, but so what, okay? It goes to show that you don't need them for anything, okay? Which at the end of the day, all we need is Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah, because that's our strong tower. That's who we run to, all right, in the need of all things. And the Lord sustains us, man. We cast our burdens upon the Lord, and he sustains us with what we need, okay? True godliness is being content therewith with what you have, food and raiment, you know, a place to sleep, your head, put your head down, you see, having this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which is the greatest thing you could possibly have on planet Earth, okay? So it says, while this technology is sufficient, it's not perfect, and false positives are more common than many people realize. For example, freelancers, gig workers, and small business owners often have irregular cash flow that can look suspicious to automated systems. That's right, because, hey, sometimes it's hitting for us and sometimes it's not, right? Or see, what they want to have is a steady flow, a constant pattern of what you're doing. And the moment that it's off, right? Let's say you lose a job, or you ain't worked for 2 weeks, or you got hurt, you know, you off for a month. Well, something's wrong. Something's wrong in the system. There you go. Here it is that we're going to close your account. Okay. Oh, damn, this person hasn't worked for how many years now? He gets money through Cash App and this and that, blah, blah. Oh, no, there's something wrong here. You see? This is the times that we're coming into, man. No privacy of what you do, how you make your money. Uncle Sam got a big ass eye on that shit. All right, 24/7. Right. So it says, common triggers. It says understanding what triggers these reviews can help you avoid unexpected bank account closures. And no, it can't, because regardless, it's still gonna come. All right. This is why they make articles like this. This is why they keep telling you these things that are going to happen more and more, because it's bound to happen. See, Esau, the same way the prophets tell you, right, prophesying what's happening to get the blood off our hands, Esau tells you these things to get the blood off his hands. So when it does happen, you can't say, oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't hear about that. Yeah, you did. You just didn't pay no mind to it. You thought that shit was a joke, you see? So Esau doing that on the left-hand side, just getting the blood off his hands, because he know he's about to make that exact move of what he's telling you to watch out for, or that it can happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what Esau does, man. You see? And ultimately, it's a plague of YAHAWAH'S Yahawashi destroying, you know, America, bringing it down to his knees. You know, this place is being destroyed from the inside out. Right. So it says, understand what triggers these reviews can help you avoid unexpected bank account closures, even if the rules aren't always transparent. Large or frequent cash deposits are one of the biggest red flags, especially if they don't match your typical account behavior. Sending or receiving money internationally, particularly to countries flagged as high risk, can also draw scrutiny. You see? See, they're gonna knock out of these Zells, you know. They're gonna knock out these Cash Apps, okay, Skrilla, all right. What's the other one? PayPal, Venmos, all these things. A lot of people are using to be able to transfer money and send money and do certain transactions, all right. And really, they're not getting charged, all right, like you would normally, okay. See, Esau want to make sure he taking taxes of everything, man. But when you do, you know, Cash Apps and Zells and things like that, yeah, they take a little portion, but it ain't high amounts of money that they're taking away from you. It's just to make basically that transaction come to play. All right. So out of $100, they might take out $2, you know, $3. All right. As opposed to if you're working for every $100 a day that you make, they're basically taking out $7 to $15 of taxes. You see, that's what Esau wants. All right. And then the higher you go, the more they take away from you. You making a $1,500 paycheck every 2 weeks, man. They taking at least fucking $200 to $300 away from your ass, leaving your ass with, you know, damn near $1,000. Then you got to pay your bills, you know, leaving you with basically nothing. All right. So it says, Shalom Malak. It says that's why all these billionaires are getting rid of shares and money notes. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, because they're prepared for what's about to happen. Okay. And by them doing that, they're making even more money. And they know that when these things come to pass, they're going to be locked with the money they already had, and then they're going to continue to make more money off of us. You see, the rich going to get richer, the poor going to get poorer, right? That's why there's going to be no middle class. All this shit that's happening right now is to knock out the middle class, all right? The ones that are just getting by so they can all become poor, and the only ones that are rich left is the rich that's been rich this whole entire time. You see? So it says, understanding what triggers these reviews can help you avoid unexpected bank account closures, even if the rules aren't always transparent. Large or frequent cash deposits are one of the biggest red flags, especially if they don't match your typical bank account behavior. Sending or receiving money international, particularly to countries flagged as high risk, can also draw scrutiny. Even something as simple as logging into your account from different locations. Yeah, now look, now you're not going to be able to log into your account from a different phone. It has to be from the exact phone that you've used the whole entire time. You see, this is the shit that they doing, man. Okay, making it harder and harder for you. All right. It says, or devices too often can raise concerns. Okay. So even something as simple as logging into your accounts from different locations or devices too often can raise concerns. All right. It says your account has closed suddenly. When bank account closures happen, the impact can be immediate and stressful, especially if you rely on that account for daily expenses. In many cases, your funds are frozen temporarily while the bank completes its review. And boy, them reviews take forever. Okay, well, we'll get back to you in 60 days. It could take up to 90 days, right? That's the excuse. And then on top of that, you're not even talking to a damn human. You're talking to an actual fucking machine, all right, that could barely understand what you're saying and repeats itself over and over. Oh, well, I didn't get that. Can you repeat yourself again? Yeah, and it becomes very frustrating, man. See, in the old days, you would talk to somebody directly. You ain't talking to nobody directly in these days, man. You talking to straight AI, okay? Because they making it easier. They firing people, you see. They ain't got to pay the damn robot that's just going to say the same thing over and over and over again, right? And then when they finally get you with the AI and they get the AI understood you, well, we'll get back to you with someone that's directly speaking to you. And that shit could take forever, man. Then you're calling and blowing them up and they just tell you, oh, well, man, we've been, or sir, we've been, there's too many people and we're overloaded in the system and all that, blah, blah, blah. The same old runaround they've always given you, okay? Sometimes these companies are so unprofessional now, they don't even give you a fucking call back, honestly. It's dead ass, all right? The wifey they done snatched like 2 G's out of her shit. Randomly, she got hacked. To this day, we never saw that money back. Like on another level, we never saw that money back. You call them back up every time, and they just kept saying the same thing. Oh, we got to review it. We got to review it. We haven't found anything. We haven't found anything. It's like, bro, like, come on. You can, as fast as that money comes out of that damn account, right? When you want to pay a bill and things like that, that's as fast as you could be able to track something and drop it back into your account. But you know what? They're going to give you the runaround, okay? Because also through gradualism, they've been training your mind to make you wait and basically give in and just be like, man, it is what it is. I took the loss, you see? And because you really can't curse nobody out, you just talking to AI. AI care less what you're saying, right? That's why they say, well, everything is being recorded for training purposes. Shut up. All right. So it says, wait. It says when your bank account closures happen, the impact can be immediate or stressful, especially if you rely on that account for daily expenses. In many cases, your funds are frozen temporarily while the bank completes its review, which can take days or even weeks, right? During that time, you might miss bill payments, face overdraft fees elsewhere, or struggle to access your own money. See? Some customers report receiving only a brief notice with little explanation, making it difficult to resolve the issue quickly. Even after the account is closed, getting clear answers or reopening an account can be frustratingly difficult. You see? This is how to protect yourselves from unexpected account closures. While you can eliminate the risk entirely, while you can't, Salakia, eliminate the risk entirely, there are smart steps you can take to reduce the chances of bank account closures disrupting your life. Start by maintaining consistent transaction patterns whenever possible and avoid sudden large deposits or transfers that don't align with your usual activity. It's wise to have a backup bank account at a different institution, so you're not completely locked out of your finances if one account is closed. Finally, stay proactive by reviewing your bank policies and communicating with them if you anticipate unusual activity. Convenience and control. The rise, all right, and this is, hey, convenience and control is going to be the main thing that's going to be pushed through the MOTB. The rise in bank account closures highlights a growing tension between financial security and customer convenience in today's banking system. The shift means consumers need to be more aware and proactive about how they manage their money and interact with banks. As technology continues to evolve, understanding these systems isn't just helpful, it's essential for protecting your financial stability. Have you or someone you know ever experienced a sudden bank account closure without warning? Share your story in the comments below. That's it. Wow. Right? It says you may also like, okay, it's just 7 different, actually, I'm about to go into one of these, right? That was the end of that, right? Let me just grab this one. It says biometric banking and the rise of fraud concerns in 2026, right? Let's see what this one got to say. It says biometric banking and the rise of fraud concerns in 2026. A password can be forgotten, a PIN can be changed, a face or a fingerprint that sticks for life, and that reality changes the stakes in a big way. Banks and tech companies have raced toward biometric authentication with confidence, promising faster logins, tighter security, and a future that feels almost frictionless. You see, this is the convenience that they push, all right, which is going to lead to that MOTB. Yet 2026 brings a growing unease that refuses to stay quiet as fraud tactics evolve just as quickly as the technology meant to stop them. That tension sits at the center of modern banking, where convenience and risk now share the same screen. You see, it says your face is the password now, and that changes everything. Biometric banking sounds like a dream on the surface, and the appeal lands instantly. A quick face scan unlocks an account. A fingerprint confirms a payment, and the entire process feels smooth and futuristic without the mental load of remembering dozens of passwords. You see, and that's heavy right there, right? It says without the mental load of remembering dozens of passwords, right? That's why when you go into the word mark, goes into charagma, which means an apprentice stamp, right? Put into the right hand or the forehead as a badge of servitude, right? Then that word goes into karax, which means the device that's used to actually push the implantation of the RFID into your body, which is a stake, right? A stake is used to drive something into the ground, right? So they're going to use something as almost like a stake to drive it into your skin. And then when you're going from that word karax, it goes into grapho, right? Which means things not to be forgotten, things written down to record. Okay. Things to be able to pinpoint your location, as in GPS, you see? And that's basically what is being said here, right? It says a fingerprint confirms a payment, and the entire process feels smooth and futuristic. Okay, it's going to feel even more futuristic once the MOTB is pushed out. All right, which is going to be for convenience, without the mental load of remembering dozens of passwords, things not to be forgotten. Things are going to be recorded, which goes into Grapho, recording basically all the data through this technology that's going to be in the Neuralink or in the right hand, which is the RFID. You see, it says financial institutions have leaned heavily into this shift because biometric identifiers tie directly to individuals, which makes them harder to replicate the traditional credentials. That promise of uniqueness, the promise that wait, Slocket, that promise of uniqueness has driven widespread adoption across mobile banking apps and payment platforms. All right. It says that same uniqueness creates a serious problem when something goes wrong. A compromised password can be reset in minutes, but a compromised fingerprint or financial scan does not come with an easy reset button. Fraudsters have started targeting the systems behind biometric authentication rather than the physical traits themselves, which changes the battlefield entirely. Data breaches that expose biometric templates raise long-term risk because their identifiers stay permanent. Banks often store encrypted Salakia, versions of biometric data, yet attackers constantly search for ways to exploit storage systems or intercept authentication processes. Okay. Fraudsters aren't guessing passwords anymore. The modern fraud playbook looks very difficult from the old days of weak passwords and obvious scams. Cyber criminals now use advanced tools like deepfake technology to trick facial recognition systems, and that shift has forced the banks to rethink how they verify identity. And see, that's why eventually biometrics is not going to work, but they're going to have an actual implementation of that chip in your body, man, because that you can't fake because it's in your body. So now I can detect everything through your body. I don't need to scan my face no more. Okay. Biometrics is just used as another gradualism tactic, man, to get you closer and closer to their agenda, you know, to make you feel like it's very convenient, to make you feel like it's very cool. You see, it says high quality synthetic videos and images can mimic real people with unsettling accuracy, which creates new vulnerabilities in systems that rely heavily on visual confirmation. This tactic doesn't just exist in theory, as security researchers and industry reports have documented real attempts to bypass biometric safeguards using manipulated media. Attackers can also combine biometric fraud with social engineering, which adds another layer of risk. They might gather personal information from multiple sources, then use that information to build convincing profiles that slip past security checks. In some cases, fraudsters exploit weaknesses in multi-factor authentication systems by targeting the human element rather than the technology itself. Ooh, see? In some cases, fraudsters exploit weaknesses in multiple factor authentication systems by targeting the human element rather than the technology itself, you see? And imagine how much more when they have grabbed technology and merged it to man with transhumanism. They're going to be hacking people, man. Right? It says that approach often works because people trust biometric systems and may lower their guard when a device appears to recognize them instantly. The result creates a dangerous mix of confidence and vulnerability that fraudsters know how to exploit. Okay, convenience versus control, the trade-off nobody talks about enough. Biometric banking offers speed and simplicity, but it also asks for a level of trust that deserves closer attention. Users hand over highly sensitive data in exchange for convenience, and that trade-off deserves, and hey man, that's crazy, because that's why in everything that you deal with when it has to do with an app, they asking for all this extra information and you just agree to it. You really not reading the fine print, you know. But for an exchange for convenience, like I said, they're taking all this extra data that you don't even realize, man. Okay, making it easier, all right, to hack you, to use your data. You see, remember, we're in a time where the damn computer is almost smarter, is basically smarter than the human, because the human intelligence is what created the data to pick up the way the human thinks. You see, and it's just a bunch of different how can I say, it's just a bunch of different brains put together into one system, man. Millions and millions of brains of the human intelligence, you know, to be connected to that system. All right. And that's why you'll hear like Elon Musk say shit like, you know, AI is so dangerous because it could do whatever it pretty much wants on its own. You see? So it says, in that trade-off deserves careful thought before hitting enable on every feature. Financial institutions often emphasize security benefits, yet the broader conversation about data ownership and control still feels incomplete. Once biometric data enters a system, individuals lose a degree of control over how that data gets stored, used, and protected. Absolutely. Says that lack of control becomes more concerning when the third-party vendors enter the picture. Many banks rely on external technology providers to power biometric systems, which creates additional points of vulnerability. Each connection in that chain introduces potential risks, especially if security standards vary across providers. Transparency becomes critical in this environment, yet many users don't fully understand where their data goes or how companies safeguard it. And we don't. That's why shit is crazy as hell when you start giving all this information, man, because you really don't know what they're doing with this information. They could be using it to frame you. They could be using it to invent a damn crime with your name, with your face, all of that, man. You see, that's what they're going to do with the prophets, man. They're going to persecute the prophets by taking AI and putting all this type of technology together to make us look like we've been saying something else, to make us look like we've been doing this and doing that. See, bro, we in them weird times, man. Right? So it says, money banks rely on external technology providers to power biometric systems, which creates additional points of vulnerability. Each connection in that chain introduces potential risks, especially if security standards vary across providers. Transparency becomes critical in this environment, yet many users don't fully understand where their data goes or how companies safeguard it. A thoughtful approach involves asking questions, reviewing. Who the hell you gonna ask questions to, though? The Susan the computer? Shit make no sense, man. Reviewing privacy policies. Yeah, who really gonna sit there and read 100-page thin print, fine print that they're gonna give you for you to read, man? That's why most people just press accept. When they see that they gotta read all that shit, they don't want to read, man. Right? It says, and staying informed about how institutions handle biometric information, that awareness helps balance convenience with a stronger sense of control. It says the tech is smart, but it's not perfect. Biometric systems have improved significantly, yet no technology delivers flawless performance. Yeah, but see, when it comes to that MOTB, that's where they're gonna come and tell you that it's gonna be flawless. That's where they're gonna give you peace and safety. You see? They're going to give you that solution. We have the solution for all things. We have finally perfected it. You see? And it says false positives and false negatives still occur, and those errors can create both security risk and frustrating users' experiences. A system might mistakenly grant access to the wrong person or lock out the rightful account holder, and neither outcome Slovakia and and neither outcome inspires confidence. The developers continue refining algorithms to reduce these errors, but real world conditions like lighting, camera quality, and environmental factors can still impact accuracy. All right, let me keep reading. It says fraudsters take advantage of those imperfections by testing system limits and identifying weak points. They experiment with different methods until something works, which mirrors how hackers approach any security system. That constant pressure forces banks to update and strengthen their defenses, but it also highlights that ongoing nature of the challenge. Security doesn't stand still, neither do the people try to break it. A layered approach that combines biometrics with additional verification steps can reduce risk, especially for high value transactions. Relying on a single method, no matter how advanced, rarely provides complete protection. How to stay sharp in the biometric world. Smart habits still matter, even in a small world, in a world that promises effortless security, right? Enabling multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of protection, especially when it includes something beyond biometrics, such as a secure device or a one-time code. Keeping devices updated also plays a critical role, since software updates often include important security fixes that address newly discovered vulnerabilities. Skipping those updates can leave systems exposed in ways that feel invisible until something goes wrong. And it's funny, I was talking about that yesterday. Monitoring financial accounts regularly helps catch unusual activity early, which can make a significant difference in limiting damage. Many banks often real-time alerts for Many banks offer real-time alerts for transactions, and turning those notifications on provides immediate awareness of account activity. Choosing strong device security settings, such as passwords encryption, adds another layer of defense that supports biometric systems rather than replacing them. Taking time to understand how a bank handles biometric data can also guide smarter decisions about which features to use. Stay informed and proactive creates a strong defense that relying on any single piece of technology. All right. Regulation, responsibility, and the road ahead. Let me see what that says. I'll read that piece and I'll end it there because this seems like a long. Oh, actually, this is the end of it. It says regulation, responsibility, and the road ahead. Governments and regulatory bodies have started paying closer attention to biometric data, and that focus reflects the growing importance of privacy and security in financial systems. Laws and guidelines aim to set standards for how companies collect, store, and use biometric information, which helps create a more consistent level of protection. However, regulations often struggle to keep pace with rapid technology change, which leaves gaps that both companies and consumers must navigate carefully. Financial institutions carry significantly responsibility in this space, and their choices shape how safe biometric banking feels in everyday use. Strong encryption, transparent policies, and continuous security testing all play a role in building trust. All right, and pretty much all that that's being said is going to tie back to one thing: the MOTB. All these things are going to be able to be done through one device. Okay, it says at the same time, individuals hold power through their own decisions. Hold on. Their own decisions about which features to use and how much data to share. A balanced approach that combines institutional accountability with personal awareness offers the best path forward. The future of biometric banking will depend on how well both sides adapt to the evolving risks. The security question that won't go away. Biometric banking delivers undeniable convenience, yet it is also introduces risks that demand attention and awareness. The technology continues to evolve, and so do the tactics designed to exploit it, which creates a constant push and pull between innovation and security. A thoughtful approach doesn't reject biometrics outright, but it also doesn't accept them blindly without considering the bigger picture. Smart decisions, layered protections, and ongoing awareness can turn a powerful tool into a safer one. So where does the balance land between convenience and control when it comes to financial security? And then it says, drop your thoughts in your comments below. You see? And where's it going to, balance everything out? All right. Between the convenience and the control, right? When they come and tell you peace and safety with this MOTB, you see, we have the perfect device. All right. That's going to solve all our problems. That's why we're not ignorant to Satan's devices, man, because we know that this devil's always conjuring up, all right, a sorcery, man. All these things that are being done, all right, are going to lead to one thing, all right, that mark of the beast. Okay, that's the biggest thing, all right, the biggest prophecy that we're waiting for right now, all right, because once that is set in place and it's made mandatory, we don't have much time here, man. But you can see by these articles that are being spoken of, right? You can see how the future of America looks like, man. That's why, brothers always go into, if you want to know what the future of America is going to look like, just look at China. China's going through all these procedures already. Okay, they already have these things in place. Okay, and that's what eventually is going to happen here in America. Okay, going back into what? Total technocracy, total control, speaking the words, the deceitful words of fraud, right? Telling you that convenience is on the way, that everything is made for you to live a better life. Okay, when in all reality, it's made to just destroy you. It's just one agenda, man. They just want digital slaves. Okay, they want to be able to tap into your thoughts. All right. Matter of fact, let's end it with this. This is Second Thessalonians 2:4, and it reads, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God. All right. And how does he do that? Through the means of his miracles, the means of his technologies, to make these things look like it's convenient, part of his system, giving you the image of what he wants you to, how he wants you to maneuver in his society, right? Or that is worship, because at the end of the day, by you taking that MOTB, it's a badge of servitude, man, to show that you worship this system, that you worship this God, the God of this world, which has blinded the minds of those that don't believe, right? So that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. See, he thinks that he's the Lord. And especially with his technology, once he could get it into your body, as it says, he sitteth in the temple of God, which we are the temple of the Lord, as the scriptures say. He gonna sit in the temple of the Lord subdermally with this technology, being able to tap into your full thoughts. You see, the Lord has eyes, right? The eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, beholding the good and the evil. So the eyes of the Lord is looking everywhere. See, he wants to have that same exact, mentality, all right, attribute, basically, through his technology, being able to have God's eye, through the lens of technology, where he constantly watching everything that you're doing. You see, this is why, hey man, this is why we in scary times, dangerous times. You see, this is why you have to have YAHAWAH'S, all right, have mercy on us, man, and preserve us from the hour of temptation, preserve us from the system and this image that's going to be pushed globally to make it a one world society, a one world government, under a one world God, okay, under a satanic Luciferian, ritual, basically. All right. But hey, man, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to land back on that, article that I ran across, so Lord willing, it was edifying. All right. Hey, they ready to hack this place, man. Your things is ready to be lost. A lot of people gonna wake up with no money in their bank account, man. with no access to anything in their bank. You see, causing total chaos, man. Order out of chaos, man. Order out chaos. You see. So, Lord willing, you will edify. So, with that being said, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloim La, Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.